And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast. This is Talkin' NASCAR podcast episode number 93. I'm back once again with Hitmaster, wearing a 69 hat. Nice.
There's no driver that drives in 69 in NASCAR, but that's okay.
True. Not yet, at least. True.
There will be. Tyler's making his announcement. He's going to NASCAR next year to drive the number 69 Hendrick Motor.
That's right, baby. Atlanta's in the books. Should be some stuff there. The first race for the playoffs for the Cup Series. The Xfinity Series ran as well as they get closer to their playoffs. So we got a lot to talk about from that. We got some silly season news, not a whole lot. There is one big thing, though, with some charter drama that we will going over soon. But at the end of this episode, we will preview this weekend's action at Watkins Glen. So, should be all good there. First, we got to talk about Atlanta. Super Speedway race to start off September. Really, I mean, Darlington, I guess, kind of was September. Not really. For the Xfinity Series, again, like I said, they're still pushing towards their playoffs. I think they had Atlanta. I think their next, one more race in the regular season is Bristol, and then their cutoff is happening. So there's a lot of interesting stuff as we get down to that. Ryan Sieg, one of the drivers that is on that playoff bubble, had some electrical issues very early on in this race and did not run well at all. He was really terrible points day for him. Came in just on that cut line, and he's set back very far as of that, and you don't want to be in a must-win situation come Bristol. You really don't, but it seems like that's going to be what's happening. I don't think he's definitely in a must-win scenario, but he's close. So he's going to need to pull off a really good run at Bristol to make it to the next round. I'm just going to actually double check real quick, make sure that they aren't running at Watkins Glen. Oh, they are. Never mind. They have Watkins Glen, then they have Bristol. Okay. Oopsie. My bad. They have two races. Okay, never mind. But for Ryan Sieg, not a great run. Sam Mayer also had a really scary moment when he hit the wall and his car just burst into flames at the end of stage 2. It didn't seem like it was a pretty hard hit after looking at it, but it didn't seem like it was going to be that crazy to subject to fire, but it was a pretty large fire, which was pretty crazy. But he was okay, thankfully. Shane Van Gisbergen wrecked in stage 3 early on. Took him out of the race. The big one struck late, collecting a lot of drivers. Riley Herbst, Justin Allgaier, Ryan Sieg again. Others were collected in this huge wreck that helped shake up some of the points lineup. But at the end of the day, surprise, Austin Hill, the super speedway king of the Xfinity Series, goes on to win. And, he's already in the playoffs, all that sort of stuff. But kind of getting a boost after a strong start to the season, winning the first 2 races, and then kind of being pretty bad since. So, but alas, he wins the race, pretty convincing fashion. And that was the Xfinity race. I didn't actually watch it. I was going off the highlights, but seemed like a pretty good race overall. I mean, for what you would expect for the Xfinity Series in Atlanta. I mean, it's exciting racing. Lots of crashes and action and stuff. Not a huge Austin Hill fans, but, didn't really do anything crazy to win the race, so that's okay. And then the Cup Series. Cup Series was actually a little not as crazy as I thought it was going to be. I thought Atlanta was going to be a huge shaker for the playoffs and kind of really be this focal point for a driver that really didn't deserve to get to the second round. Getting to the second round, that isn't quite what it was. The first stage was actually pretty calm. We saw some interesting strategies, mainly Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin decided for this race that he was going to pull a more old school style for restrictor plate racing. which is hanging out in the back all day to avoid the wreck and then making your move at the end. We've seen a lot of drivers do this in the past, but with stage racing, that's kind of gone away. Because especially for Denny Hamlin, who's in the playoffs and needs stage points to move on. Hamlin stayed in the back all day, though, did not get any stage points. Did it work out? We'll find out in a few minutes. As for drivers who did push hard, one of them was Kyle Larson. He was sitting in third with only a few laps to go in the stage before his car just got really loose out of nowhere, and he took a massive shot to the outside wall. Really, really hard hit. Even worse, he collected Chase Briscoe, got into the back of him as well, as everybody was trying to avoid him, taking Briscoe out of action too. So that was two playoff drivers suffering problems early on in the race. Kyle Larson has his being the top seed in the playoffs, and also a lot of bonus points and stuff to fall back on. Chase Briscoe does not. So that set Chase Briscoe back pretty far, and he puts him in not a must-win situation, but he needs to have a really good run at Watkins Glen to not need to win at Bristol. So for Larson, he's in the danger zone, but he's still above the cut line and can easily rebound. So Justin Haley in the second stage was given a below the line penalty, the double yellow line rule coming to an effect here again. That was kind of bullshit. Really not. And some drivers that we did see have good runs. Let's give some credit to a couple of drivers that had really good runs here. First off, Alex Bowman scoring the second most points out of anybody on the day, getting 16 stage points and finishing fifth. Really good run for Alex Bowman. He was up front all day. Thank God he was my fantasy pick for the weekend, and he came through with a good run. Thank God. And also Austin Cindric for a really, really good race. Dominated the second stage, won the stage, and he got a huge points boost because of that. So good run for Cindric. So that was really, really good stuff there too. John Hunter Nemechek, though, not a great run. He wrecked out in stage 3. And later on in the stage, more playoff drivers got into trouble when Chris Buescher and Ryan Blaney got together and collected Martin Truex as well. Blaney fans, don't worry. He was able to get his car repaired and get back out there and would end up actually snagging a top 5 finish. Can you believe it? Martin Truex Jr., though, on the other hand, was not able to get back out there and stay competitive. So really a poor run for the 19 team, which he did not need because he started the playoffs below the cut line. And so you don't want to start off the playoffs with a bad run. That was tough. Very tough for Truex. And then with 2 to go, Noah Gragson wrecked, which set up another overtime restart. I've decided that I'm going to go and calculate how many overtime finishes there were this season when the season's over. And we're going to see what the percentage of overtime finishes are. Because it seems like every fucking week there's an overtime finish. And I'm just like, at this point, just extend the damn race if you're going to make it extended with overtime anyways. Some of them are good and some of them are not. But
every time there's a white flag, it seems like there's a caution coming. So,
True.
When Chase Elliott won at Texas, I was getting excited, and then all of a sudden I'm like to my dad, wait a minute. Hold on. There might be a caution. There might be a caution.
In overtime, Joey Logano prevailed. Yay!
Boo! Boo! He sucks! Boo! And would think differently. But boo!
The big one struck behind him in turn 3. Ross Chastain getting into the wall, kind of setting it all off. Harrison Burton was caught up in it after he was having a pretty decent day. Same with Bubba Wallace. Many others were collected. Funny one, though, was Denny Hamlin staying in the back all day, not getting stage points, specifically to avoid the big one, ends up getting caught in the big one on the last lap. What an ironic turn of events there for Denny Hamlin, who didn't really finish that great. I think he finished like 26th or something. So, Really poor day on Denny Hamlin's part, but that was pretty much the race. I mean, the racing was entertaining. Lee Diffie definitely thought it was the best race he'd ever seen in his life, which was not, but the racing was still pretty good overall. So I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's not great, but before, let's go over the playoff standings as well for the Cup Series. See where kind of everybody stands after race 1. So Joey Logano gets the win. He advances into the second round of the playoffs with the second win of the season. So he currently sits up at the top. Ryan Blaney has the best cushion otherwise on points. He's 45 points to the good. Christopher Bell had a pretty good run going all day and is 40 above the cut line. Tyler Reddick had an up and down day, 33 above the cut line. He and William Byron are tied, actually. William Byron had a solid finish to the race after kind of a mid-tier start. Alex Bowman's good day and Austin Cindric's good day put them tied at 6th, both 27 points above the cut line, which are much better positions than they came into Atlanta with. Chase Elliott had a strong run at the end. He's 24 above the cut line. Daniel Suarez had a fairly decent day going as well, but was able to get 22 above the cut line in 9th. Kyle Larson's early exit to the race killed any big gaps he had. He sits 15 points above the cut line in 10th. And then we really get into the danger zone. Denny Hamlin came in pretty solid. He sits in 11th, only 2 points above the cut line. And Ty Gibbs is the last driver into the second round at this point, just a single point above the cut line. Brad Keselowski sits first below the cut line, just a 1 point back. Harrison Burton, 16 points back. Martin Truex, after his bad run, 19 points back. And Chase Briscoe, after his early wreck, is 21 points back. So like I said, nobody's in a must-win situation, but a lot of drivers who can't get comfortable just yet, especially with 2 other crazy tracks coming up in the first round of the playoffs. Really, anybody can still be taken out, except for Joey Logano. He's the only one that's safe, so gotta know that going in. But that is Atlanta. I don't know if you have anything else to point out. Hitmaster
has to have to be a must-win situation. I'm going to be so happy because if he's in a must-win situation, that means most likely he ain't going to win. And hopefully I didn't jinx it, by the way. Because I like to jinx things. But
that was Atlanta. So let's put it in the books, shall we? So like I said, nothing too crazy as far as other things go. It was announced earlier in the week, Martin Truex, even though he is retiring from full-time Cup competition, will be running the 2025 Daytona 500 in either one of his old numbers, either the 78 or the 56. It is not confirmed. But it is confirmed that Cole Pern will return as his crew chief for the race. So it's pretty cool. Truex never won the Daytona 500. So maybe this is the last time. Also, RFK is moving discussions in a good direction towards a 3-car operation in 2025. Obviously when they were called Roush Fenway Racing, they were up at 1.5 to 6 cars. So this is nothing super uncharted territory for them. But with their downgrades lately, they've moved back up, and it'd be cool to see, one, how they perform with the third car, 2, who drives it. So there's no front runner speculated as the guy who's going to take the ride. They got a lot of options, and I'm sure they'll be considering it as it goes forward.
Well, what's going to be the number? Would it be 60?
the 60 is probably the leading candidate for the number, seeing that they already have been using that in the Cup Series a little bit. They don't have.
They can't use 16.
They can't use 16. They can't use 99. They can't use. Well, they could. Well, no, they don't. I guess they could bring the 97 back, since Shane Van Gisbergen isn't driving it in the Cup Series.
True.
But I guess no, that number might still belong to Track. Well, no, Track. He used the 91 when he was in Cup for Trackhouse. So.
Well, his first win was 97, wasn't it?
No, it was 91. He used 97 in the Xfinity Series. So, I don't know if there's any complications there. So, that'll be interesting. Still pretty early discussions going on as far as that goes. But the big news over the week, one of the bigger ones was everybody had to sign the charter agreements for next season. And every team signed it except for two. Front Row Motorsports and 2311 Racing did not sign it. This has been a huge deal because they're past the deadline. So, that's not good. Let's see what the New York Times has to say about all this.
New York Times is a piece of shit. Sorry, my political shit came out. That Atlanta race, though, it was like, I think it was just mostly Trackhouse, Penske, or Hendrick that was just dominating the field.
Ooh. So 2311 came out and said that the reason why they didn't sign it is because they felt like it was forced. And it is not what they felt like they didn't feel like they should have signed it because it wasn't what they wanted. So that is, they just didn't sign it. As far as Front Row Motorsports goes, they seem like it's also a very similar situation. So both are still in holdout and are currently seeking what they're going to do next, which is quite interesting. This will be a very big development going forward. So I'll have to look forward to. But that's really all I had. Now there is a live stream as we're recording this going on right now, and I'm gonna see if I can find out.
Imagine if it's the Coca-Cola E-Series. It could possibly be the Coca-Cola E-Series.
Yep, so the announcement was made. I mean, we already knew kind of what was happening. Kyle Larson is running the Indy 500 again next season. We knew this when he first announced that he was doing it this year, that he was going to do it twice. But Larson will be back. Obviously, the question is... are you going to... if there's rain problems again, as there were in both the Indy 500 and Coke 600 this year, what are you going to do? Mr. Rick Hendrick himself said that if rain affects the Indy 500, he will pull Larson out of the car so that he can make it to Charlotte and actually run the 600. He will run the 600 no matter what this year. Said even if he's leading the Indy 500, we're pulling him out. That's what he said. Whether that actually happens, who knows? Let's just hope there's no rain issues again this year. That'd be swell.
at least Indianapolis and Charlotte know what us Michiganders have to deal with when they come to MIS.
True.
Yeah, you Charlotte people and you Indianapolis people, you now know how we have to feel. Whenever we want to go to our race and it gets canceled, that that is what happens.
But that's really all the news that I had. Again, nothing too crazy this week outside of the playoffs. As we move forward through everything. So, unless you had anything, Hitmaster.
I do not actually, surprisingly. Trying to think, what is there? No, I don't have anything other than Tyler won for the third straight week in the poker chips.
Let's go,
Because,
yeah,
yeah,
baby.
because Josh Berry can't drive
Let's go,
worth a shit.
yeah, baby. I am the winner. Woo, yeah, baby.
I'm just gonna call Tyler the champion of poker chips this year.
True. That's how it works around here, baby. All right. Anyway, this weekend, Watkins Glen. Now, since we got the time and there's only 2 races to go, let's go over the Xfinity Series bubble, kind of where everybody stands as we loom towards their playoffs. The top 12 drivers from their series make it. So far, 8 drivers have locked themselves in on victories, that being Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chandler Smith, Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, Cole Custer, Riley Herbst. Those are the 8 that are already locked in via wins. AJ Allmendinger sits 144 points above the cut line. Even if he wrecks out on lap 1 of both these races, I don't think he would miss the playoffs. That's how good he is. Sheldon Creed, 123 above the cut line. He's also in a really good position. Parker Kligerman has kind of turned on the Jets the last couple of weeks. He sits 74 points above the cut line, so he's doing pretty good. And Sammy Smith sits 44 points above. So he's also in a situation where he needs to run good, but he's got that cushion to at least fall back on. And then the other ones that are hanging on there in the bubble, really only one other driver could possibly get in on points, that being Ryan Sieg. But again, he sits 44 points back now. So it's looking pretty bleak. He's going to have a really good run next 2 weeks to get in on points if he wants. Everybody else, Brandon Jones, Anthony Alfredo, all the way down, have to win. Because they're all at least 139 points back, and others are way back. So still a little bit of drama to go for their series, but not anything super crazy. So, but Watkins Glen is always known as a crazy track, full of unpredictability, twists and turns, and with it being later in the schedule this year, I can't see that taking away from any of the craziness that we have seen there in the past. So,
Did they race in the regular season there, or is this their first time there?
first time, baby. Yeah.
Surprising, because usually they have 2.
But anyway,
Then again, I'm used to the schedule where they go Watkins Glen, Michigan.
yeah, it's Watkins Glen getting its one and only shot at the playoffs. Hopefully, it lives up to the hype, because then maybe in 2026 they'll put it in the playoffs again. That'd be fun.
Right.
So, who do we think's going to win the Xfinity race?
Austin Hill.
I'm going Shane Van Gisbergen, road course king.
Of course you are.
Already in the playoffs, but why not get another win? And then our cup race. Second race out of the playoffs. Things are already kind of settling down. But another great race there. So let's get those chips.
So I already did the chips. I did it before we even got on.
Wild.
One of these people aren't in the playoffs, and one of them is. Tyler, let's go with yours first. Bam.
Oh boy.
Not bad pick, but also very difficult. Me, on the other hand, the poker chip gods gave me a luck today. Bam.
Well, I mean, seeing how Kyle Busch has performed, it's not necessarily a done deal. I mean, gonna go either way, really. You're probably going to win, though.
The streak will end.
True.
Excuse me, Jesus.
Anyways, I mean, we don't really have anything else to talk about this week, so that's going to do it for this episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. If you want to be a guest on the Talking NASCAR podcast, all you got to do is join the Pringles Line Company Discord. Link is in the description down below. Request the Talking NASCAR role from both me or Hitmaster, and we will figure out a time to get you on and talk some NASCAR. Should be awesome. So that's going to do it, though, for this video. So stay tuned for much more amazing content from both me and Hitmaster. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.